Phil Holloway is a former assistant DA, joins us from Atlanta, Georgia. Phil, first time in your state. What are they up against?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Great to be with you, although I'm sorry it's on such a sad subject. You know, what you just saw was the initial appearance within, a short period of time, a day or so. Everyone who's arrested and is held without bond has to be informed what the charges are and what the range of punishment is. And of course, the judge corrected that because he's a minor. He does not face the death penalty. But the father, who we will see coming up in court later on, is facing different charges. Now, his charges are grounded in criminal negligence, which is something more than ordinary negligence. It's like an extreme recklessness or carelessness without regard to people's lives and safety. So it's very fact dependent. And right now we don't know all the facts, but the charges, the second-degree murder in particular, he's got 2 counts of those, I understand, and each one of those carries up to 30 years and a minimum, I think, of 10, not including the other charges. So both of these individuals are potentially facing the rest of their natural lives in prison. I think law enforcement is still having to complete their investigation, but the criminal negligence aspect is very, very fact dependent. And all we know right now is that he's allegedly made this firearm available to his son. So we need to find out some additional details, but needless to say, the facts as alleged against both of these guys appear to be very, very damning for both of them.
There is an additional comment in that audio that we played, that newly released audio from the father and that police home visit from 2023. Just listen to this before Colin Gray, the father of the shooter, goes into court. Let's listen.
He knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. So it's kind of a little bit of a shock. So in whatever y'all are telling him, please instill in him that if this is whatever or wherever this is coming from, it's no joke.
No.
Like, it's no joke.
But we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know. And I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. Okay. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah, scary.
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Yeah.
Because you never really know, and I don't want anything to happen to him. So, yeah.
So, Phil, as I understand it, so then the prosecutors are looking at that, saying there was prior knowledge about this.
Yeah, so when I say it's fact dependent, that is one of the facts that that is obviously going to be very key. If he had notice and he was on knowledge, he had advanced knowledge that his son may have made these kind of threats, and then he later provided him a firearm or access to a firearm, that's obviously, I think, what's driving the charges against the father. There's other things to consider, though. The investigation is going to have to determine, did he have more than access? Was he able to have ammunition? Was he able to access these things without adult supervision? Exactly how were any weapons stored? And what specifically, other than that May 2023 incident, what other information might have been known to the father? These are all going to be parts of the investigation. The judge just said there's going to be a preliminary hearing set for a couple of months from now. That's a more detailed exposition, if you will, of the facts of the case. It's called a probable cause or committal hearing. We will actually hear, if that hearing is not waived, we'll hear evidence from law enforcement under oath on the stand as to all of the facts and circumstances that justify the warrants in the case. And the judge will have to decide if there's enough evidence against the father and the son actually to proceed for further court proceedings.
It appears to me the most damning thing they said last night is that the elder Gray, meaning the father, knowingly allowed his son to possess a weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Age 13, age 14 now. We'll be back inside that courtroom in a moment. Phil, stand by. When the father is in there, we'll take our viewers back. Thank you.